a new appreciation for The Office. And by that, I mean the television show called The Office. Hi there, here we go with Plain English, Lesson 329. I'm Jeff. JR is the producer, and the full lesson, including transcript, can be found at plainenglish.com/329. On today's lesson, we take a look back at The Office, a popular TV show when it was on the air, and a popular TV show now that we reflect on office life after almost a year away. There are 2 podcasts dedicated to The Office that are new this year too. You'll hear what those are, and you'll learn what it means to put on a brave face. The Office is a television show that describes the everyday life of office workers in the late 2000s at the most boring company imaginable, the fictional Dunder Mifflin Paper Company in working-class Scranton, Pennsylvania. It was popular during its 201-episode run from 2005 to 2013, but now, more than 7 years after it ended, fans are taking a nostalgic look back at the familiar characters and the astonishing normality of our pre-COVID world as represented on The Office. The concept was to document office life in a faux realistic way. The style was a mockumentary, a mock documentary. It was shot with a single camera, meaning that each scene had only one perspective, as if a single person with a camera were filming an actual office. Some scenes are shot through windows without sound, as if the documentary filmmaker were capturing a scene from a distance. The camera moves as if a camera operator were holding it on his shoulder, walking around. One-on-one interviews with cast members were interspersed with the action, again in the style of a documentary. During the show's run, many office workers were able to see their own lives reflected on screen. The actors did not have television good looks. Many, including Phyllis, Angela, and Kelly, were not primarily actors before the show. Neither did the lines seem scripted. They weren't delivered as if for an audience. People slouched in their chairs, mumbled their lines, rolled their eyes, and wasted time, all on camera. Characters didn't fit into television tropes of hero and villain, protagonist and antagonist, lead and supporting actors. They really felt like real people you encounter at work. Jim and Phyllis were likable. Kelly was likable but annoying. Creed was eccentric. Ryan was a brat. Angela was a prude. Pam was adorable. You felt sorry for Toby. You wished Roy would get a grip and treat people with respect. Michael craved attention and validation, but was a good person deep down. Jan wasn't as tough as she made herself seem. Stanley was just trying to survive the workday. Dwight? What can you say about Dwight? He was annoying, but he was there when you needed him. What I'm trying to say is these are the kinds of characters normal people encountered at work. Okay, yes, it was exaggerated for effect. In real offices, nobody moves a coworker's desk into the actual bathroom. But when the show was coming out, it was fun to watch and identify the personalities from your own workplace that matched with the characters on screen. Watching The Office today feels different. It's like stepping into a time capsule. Remember how we used to get up in the morning and go to this place and spend the whole entire day with a room full of people? Remember how we used to watch the clock and wonder when it would reach 5 o'clock? Remember pretending not to be offended at inappropriate jokes? Remember trying to concentrate while someone's having a personal phone conversation in the next cubicle? Remember how it was kind of nice when the fire alarm went off and you got an unexpected break? Or how you'd go to Poor Richard's or your equivalent to have a drink and how that would humanize your coworkers? Remember how you didn't quite know what to say when someone's relative had passed away? Or how hard it was to suffer through a breakup and still have to put on a brave face and go to the office the next day? The Office has staying power because it captures the essence of the era. At the time, it was fun to see your own feelings and experiences reflected on screen. Now, it's fun to look back and relive those experiences. COVID will end, but something tells me office life is not going to be like it once was. We'll be able to watch the show with future generations who won't believe it when you tell them that, yes, a lot of that was true. Yes, someone did think it was a good idea to put everyone's desks close together with no barriers and no place to have a private phone call. 2 podcasts are testament to the show's enduring popularity. Office Ladies is hosted by Jenna Fisher and Angela Kinsey, who play Pam and Angela, respectively, on the show. Each episode of the podcast talks about one episode of the TV show. The podcast episodes are over an hour each. Some TV episodes get more than one explanatory podcast episode. So for every minute of screen time, the Office Ladies treat you to 3 or 4 minutes of explanation. They tell stories about the filming, answer reader questions, talk about the inspiration for the storyline. The second podcast is An Oral History of The Office, hosted by Brian Baumgartner, who plays Kevin. The 12-episode podcast series talks about the show as a whole, how the original British show was adapted for American audiences, the search for a network home, how it was cast, how writers kept the storylines fresh, and how they dealt with the departure of Steve Carell, the show's star. Office Ladies is available on any podcast platform, while An Oral History is exclusively on Spotify. I didn't watch The Office when it was brand new. I started watching a few years later after they started coming out on DVD, but I was a fan of the show. I was always a year or two behind since I waited until the DVDs were available. If you're looking to stream The Office, it's no longer on Netflix, at least in the US. It's going to be on NBC's new streaming platform called Peacock, and the first 2 seasons will be free. That's how they hook you. Outside the US, I think you can get them on Amazon. Today's expression is to put on a brave face. I would definitely say this is not one of the most common expressions, but it does clearly illustrate one specific emotion. When you put on a brave face, you are experiencing some kind of inner turmoil, but you do your best not to show it to the outside world. In The Office, Jan puts on a brave face after her divorce. You might remember her name was Jan Levinson Gould. One day, Michael introduces her that way to a coworker. She politely corrects him as discreetly as possible and asks to be introduced just as Jan Levinson. Gould was no longer in the picture. She was getting a divorce. This being The Office, Michael makes a mess of the situation and handles it indelicately. But Jan was putting on a brave face. She was going through a divorce, a very personal, painful process, but she still had to be the professional businesswoman at work. She probably didn't want to go into work those days. She probably had a lot on her mind. She probably wanted to be anywhere but at work. But she had to put on a brave face and continue doing her job, even if she was feeling terrible inside. Losing a job is another example of something that can cause inner turmoil. It can cause all kinds of negative emotions: sadness, depression, fear, anxiety, but also a loss of identity. It's a blow to your ego. It's embarrassing, even if it wasn't your fault. If you lose a job, you'll probably feel some combination of those negative emotions. To get a new job, you'll need to go to a job fair or start attending industry events, networking events, reach out to your contacts, whatever. At the very least, you'll need to get interviews. Those first few are not easy. You're still feeling all those negative emotions. You don't want to try to get new interviews. It only reminds you of the bad situation you're in. But guess what? You need to put on a brave face and just do it. The face you show the world will be optimistic, energized for the future, ready to forget the past, eager to learn new things, ready to dive right in. You probably won't truly feel all those things, at least not right away. But you need to put on a brave face anyway and go out and do what you have to do. One last example. Parents often put on a brave face with their kids. They don't want their kids to worry. When a mom or dad has to get surgery or undergo chemotherapy, the parent often tries to put on a brave face when talking to the kids. The parent says everything's going to be fine. The parent tries to be steady and calm for the sake of the kids, even if that parent is thinking very different things. Today's song of the week is Boys Don't Cry by The Cure. This song does not include Put on a Brave Face, but it talks about the same concept. In fact, the first two lines of the song are, "Don't say what you mean, you might spoil your face." And that essentially means the same thing. Don't reveal your true emotions because you might ruin the appearance you're giving to others. This appears in Season 4 of The Crown. The character in Episode 5 is down on his luck, frustrated with life, and is listening to this song as he lights a cigarette. The Queen later calls smoking a filthy habit. Boys Don't Cry by The Cure is JR's Song of the Week. And that's all today. I hope you didn't mind 2 entertainment-related lessons in a row. I suppose Mondays was more about business than entertainment. We'll have to see what I come up with next week. I have no idea what the lessons will be about, but that's half the fun, at least for me. Oh, yes, I do. I know, I forgot when I was writing this. A famous website is turning 20 years old. Can you believe that there are websites that are 20 years old? Well, this one is. It was seen as a joke when it first started, but it later disrupted its industry and changed the experience of the internet probably forever. It's not Facebook. I'll let you ponder that, and you'll have to join us right back here on Monday to find out which one it is.